Hello, with Coastal Maine.
We are live. I'm Farmer Steph. We've got Cameron Bonsi from Coastal Maine
Hello.
behind the lens. He's going to be answering all your soil questions today. Hopefully you'll have lots. Okay, we're planting today. I'm super excited. Sun's out. It's Monday. I think it's March. We're going to start planting. One of the things I wanted to show you guys is the seed day calculator. This seed day calculator is what I use to help keep track of when I start my seeds. In here, you'll notice I have a frost-free date of May 9th listed. That's not May's frost-free date. That's the frost-free date for my greenhouse. And so I'm planting tomatoes based on my schedule right now, but this schedule is based on my greenhouse frost-free date. So it's actually pretty early for our home growers to start tomatoes. You're about 2 to 3 weeks from that. So just keep that in mind. I'm gonna show you how I do my tomato seedlings, and you can ask questions for when you wanna do yours. Cameron, does this look familiar to you, by the way? This
I know that by heart.
Yeah, This is on our quiz for Propagation Week. Cameron and I and some other people from Coastal Maine are taking the Maine Extension Master Gardener program, and
let's not be
It's on the
talking
test,
about.
Cameron.
Yeah.
Okay, so to get started, you are going to want a seed start mix. This seed start mix is Coast of Maine, and I love it. So we're gonna dump it in here, and then we add enough water so that it basically feels like a damp sponge. I'm going to add, I love this farm in Freeport. Sarah. Okay, so as you can see, I just love mixing it in with my hands, and it's going to get, I want full coverage so there aren't any dry spots, but you can see it's not like a situation where you can wring water out of it. It's just a damp sponge, okay? So we're gonna take that and fill our trays. Now, if you're like me, I reuse my trays every year. When I'm reusing trays, I always disinfect. It's 9 parts bleach to 1 part water, and you just soak your trays for a couple minutes, rinse them off, and they're disinfected. So now I just put it in my trough here, and I'm just filling them up. And when you're filling up your seed trays, do not pack the soil down. Keep it nice and light for those roots to be able to get established. And guys, also, if you don't have a trough in your house or anything like that, I love throwing down contractor bags, trash bags on the floor, and having the kids use that as a base. You don't need anything fancy to grow seeds. Don't be intimidated by the seeds. It's so much fun to get your hands dirty, and at the end of the day, you just sweep it up. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so we're gonna be planting tomatoes. I've got this nice and full with Coast of Maine seed start mix, and I'm just gonna go through and put some holes in here. I'm only going as far down as basically my nail. When you plant seeds, you plant to the depth that is twice the width of the seed. Also, in our test this week. So anytime you're planting...
Stop making fun of me, okay?
Kids always want to know how deep to plant the seed. You plant it twice the depth of the width of the seed. So that's not very deep. Now today, I'm going to be planting everyone's favorite, sun golds. So sun golds are awesome. They're like everyone's favorite tomato candy. I always grow them at the entrance of my greenhouse because kids love snacking on them. Now inside these packets, there's about 15 seeds per, and I'm going to put 2 seeds per cell. I'm going to do that because then I'm guaranteed, I'm hopefully guaranteed at least 1 per cell, and then if 2 germinate, that's great too. So I'm just dropping 2 seeds, and again, you do not have to be fussy about exactly how deep they go or if they're close to each other at this point. And if you get 3 per cell, that's okay too. So Cameron, do we have any questions so far?
No questions yet,
So
but there's a bunch of people watching.
Any
It's
questions,
awesome.
let us know what you might have questions about. When I'm planting seeds like tomatoes, tomatoes are pretty easy. You don't have to be too fussy with them. I would say the worst thing you can do is plant it too deep. Also, the #1 reason people kill their seedlings is from overwatering. So make sure you do not overwater. You want to be able to bottom water or water with a spray bottle. And there we go, 15. There we go. And then anytime you're going to be putting different varieties in your trays, make sure you label. You can see in this tray here, these are all tomatoes that I planted on March 7th. And you can see they're all different varieties that have different labels on them. And you can see just how closely planted those are. It's totally fine to compact plant right now, because once these tomato seedlings start getting their true leaves, I'm going to transplant those into cells like this. But we'll get there. Okay, I have one more section left, and this section is going to get a beefsteak. So everything in here is sun gold except this part.
What's the best organic fungus gnat remedy?
Okay, I get a lot of gnats in my greenhouse and like aphids, and the best thing to do is just a soap solution with a spray bottle. Basically, a Dawn kind of, something like Dawn, will deteriorate the exterior of that bug or larva, and it'll get rid of it for you without any kind of pesky chemicals. So at Farm to Table Kids, because we have kids at the farm every single day, snacking on everything, we don't use any chemicals. So I only use things like, spray dish detergent to get aphids off, and that's never been an issue. Okay, so I'm going to label these sun gold and beefsteak. And I'm gonna go through right here, and I'm just covering them up with my fingers like this. Again, nothing crazy, and I'm not packing it down. I'm keeping it nice and loose and just covering those seeds. You do wanna make sure that the seeds are covered. They need dark to help with germination. And so always, always, always read the back of your seed packet. You'll notice there's a ton of information on the back of your seed packet. It tells you days to maturity, how deep to plant, spacing when you go out to the field. Always read the back of your seed packet, and that will give you all the information that you need for a successful harvest. And you'll notice some seeds like snapdragon or strawflower will say light is required for germination. And on those instances, you don't want to cover the seeds, but here with tomatoes, cover the seeds. Now once they're nice and covered, and I know that the soil has nice moisture to it, I am going to put a dome on it. The dome goes on top to create a nice heat and moisture for the seeds to germinate. And then I always put tomato seedlings on a heat mat. Heat mat, they're not required if you don't have a heat mat, it's totally fine, but it does help with germination, and you'll notice that they do sprout a few days sooner than if you don't have a heat mat.
How early can you start tomatoes indoors? Will they suffer if they're inside for 8 weeks versus 4 to 6?
Yeah, here's the thing. Wait, promise you, like hold off for the 4 to 6 weeks. It's so hard, trust me, I get it. I started, but as an example, I started sweet peas about, I don't know, it was like January, the end of January, and I was like, they'll be fine. They're not fine. They got all leggy and they're tired. They'll be okay, I'll get some flowers out of them. But honestly, the longer you start, the sooner you start a plant, the longer you have to keep it healthy. There's so much that can go wrong during the course of the grow season that you don't want to start your plants stressed out. If you start your tomatoes too soon, at 10 to 8 weeks out, they will get leggy, and that will create a brittle stem. And you really want a stiff stem so that when you transfer them outside, wind isn't going to snap it in half, or rain or something like that. So do wait the 6 to 8 weeks. And the seed start calculator really helps. So use this, and instead of using a frost-free date of May 9th, like my greenhouse, I would use a frost-free date of May 15th. Any other questions?
Nothing else coming up right now.
So once your tomatoes have sprouted and you start to see germination, always take the dome off. So as soon as you see germination start to happen, take this baby off and let your seeds get exposed to fresh air. A lot of people will submit pictures of their seedling trays with a little bit of white fungus or mold on the soil and say, what's going on here? It's because you didn't get them hit with air. So you want to take this dome off as soon as you see germination happening. For example, this tray here, I'm going to take the dome off this because I just started to notice germination on here this morning. So this dome is going to come off so that those seedlings can get exposed to the air. And then always, always have a fan on your seedlings. A fan on your seedlings helps to increase the airflow around the base and on the soil and will greatly decrease your chances of damping off, which happens when you overwater your seedlings and they're not exposed to air. So make sure, guys, once your germination starts happening, remove the dome. Always mist with a water mister, a light water mister. And then always use a fan on your seedlings as well, okay? So happy farming! This is how to grow tomatoes. And oh, I wanted to show you one thing because someone will ask. If you do compact planting like this, the next stage here would be to take these seedlings. I usually use a popsicle stick, but I would take something like this and you just uproot with a popsicle stick and you just take them just like this. And always, whenever you're transplanting tomatoes, guys, the plant only has one stem, all right? Do not hold it by the stem. Always hold by the leaves. This is the cotyledon, which is the first leaf, not necessarily the first, it's not the first true leaf. But if you were transplanting this, you would just go as far down as the seedling can, all the way to the base of the leaf. And that is how you transplant a tomato seedling. The reason why you put a tomato seedling down that low is because these hairs on the stem will actually reroute and turn into root. So all those little hairs on this stem have the ability to turn into a tomato root. And that's how you get a nice, thick, strong, healthy tomato stem. You don't want to go to a garden center and buy the tall, skinny, leggy ones. Those are brittle. This is how you get a nice, thick, healthy tomato stem by going all the way down. I even plant them like that in the field too. So that's Tomato Talk with Farmer Steph and Cameron Bonsi from the coast of Maine.
That was
We hope
great.
you enjoyed it. Happy seedling season.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.